and welcome back. It's so nice to have you guys with me today. Today we're gonna be making spaghetti sauce. I had a request for that a little while back, and I just now got enough tomatoes. I got a big bowl of tomatoes that I need to do something with. So I figured today would be a good day to make that spaghetti sauce and show you all how I do it. First of all, well, these are pretty dirty from the garden, so we're going to go ahead and wash these really quick, and then we'll get started. The thing about this tomato sauce, or I should say my method, is it's a little unusual. Most people will use like a tomato strainer, like a Victoria strainer, or some of those, there's like a, can't think of the name of it, but they make them in Italy, that you like cook the tomatoes and you put it in this big hopper. And anyway, I'm going to show you all how to do it with a blender and a colander, because that's what I have to work with. And to be perfectly honest, it really doesn't do a bad job. There's other things you could do to get your puree, such as there's attachments they make for a KitchenAid mixer, so that would be fine. Really, you can use if you have a method that you normally use to make tomato puree, feel free to go with that. If you don't have anything to work with like that, such as a strainer or a what did I just say, the KitchenAid attachment or anything like that, if you don't have any of that stuff, and if you do have a blender and a colander, I will show you how to do that. And also you can even just use a blender and just use that as your tomato puree, but it doesn't take out the skins or the seeds, which I don't mind. For my husband and I, most of the time, the skins get ground up in it anyway, so it's not a big deal. The seeds, I mean, we don't mind having seeds in ours. I think it's, I don't bother most of the time to take those out. But if you do want perfectly smooth puree, then you want to put it through the colander, especially if you have a finer sieve or even one of these. That will work as well. So, anyway, let me get these washed and then we'll get started. Okay, we have our tomatoes all washed, and to do that, I just filled my sink with cold water, put a few tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide in there. That will help to kill any like mold spores or anything that may be on the tomatoes. Then took them out and gave them a quick rinse, and now we're ready to get started on this. Almost forgot the lid to my blender. Okay, so we just need to take off the ends. Oh wait, I need my blades in my blender. Blenders work way better when you put the blades in them. I'm guessing. I don't know that I've ever tried it without. And if you have a little bad spot, just cut that bad spot out. Unless it's a huge, like if you get a really bad looking one, you can, if it's kind of isolated in one area, I just cut it out. But sometimes it affects, this tomato looks pretty good. Still pretty firm and solid inside. But you can usually tell when you cut the bad spot off. Look at the flesh of the rest of the tomato, because sometimes that rot or whatever it is will go deeper than it looks on the surface. And if you see some of these with really like light colored spots, let's see if I can find one. I just put one in there. Well, there's some of these have really light colored spots. That's sun scald, so that doesn't, unless it's like blistery, that's not a problem. It's just ugly. We'll go get this filled up. I won't fill it to the top because I want to get going with this demonstration. But we'll blend this until smooth. You may still see some chunks of peel, but when it's relatively smooth. Then you will pour it into your colander. Let me grab my camera so you can see. Then you'll just take a spatula or a spoon, whatever you have, Go back and forth, round and around. Scrape. It's a little hard for me to do this with one hand without holding it still with the other, because I'm holding my camera. When I put the camera down, I'll do this some more so that I get more of the puree out of this. It's going to be a lot drier than that, but I just want to show you guys. And there underneath, you have your puree. Finish this up. I think a stiffer. I grabbed the wrong spatula. This one's stiffer and it'll be better. You can kind of press it against, like, take the spatula and kind of press it against the peels and seeds, but don't do it too hard because you may force it through the holes and then it won't really, you'll be kind of defeating the purpose. Every now and then you may have to scrape this off the bottom. So I could have probably kept on going and gotten this even drier, but I'm happy with this result. So that's all the waste we have. And we have there about, I'm going to guess about 2 cups of puree. So I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll go on with the actual making of the spaghetti sauce. Okay, we have most of our tomatoes pureed and put through the strainer. Just have a few more. And then I remember that I have like 6 quarts that I had frozen to deal with later that I decided I would do now. So I have those thawing right now. And there's more than one. Okay, how I like to do it is I like to actually start this the day ahead, and then I will slow cook it in my roaster, my electric roaster, overnight if I'm doing a big batch. Another option would be just to simmer it on low on a stock pot. Like if you're doing it during the day, I would start it in the morning and let it simmer all night. For me, it works best to do this in the afternoon or evening and then let it cook low and slow all night and can it in the morning. So, let me get all this mixed together or not mixed together, and put it through the colander. And then we'll add our seasonings and get this going for the night. Okay, we're back. I have my tomato puree going in here. I had it set at like 350 because I was trying to thaw out some frozen puree I have in here. It's still got frozen chunks, but I think I'm going to turn it down to 300 so it doesn't cook the outside of it so fast. Okay, so from here, I just put salt, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning to taste. That's all I do. You can, at this point, you can add chopped onion, chopped peppers, maybe a little bit of jalapeno. Yeah, maybe, well, I wouldn't add vegetables. You could add some vegetables, but then you'd have to pressure can it, and that's kind of another story, another recipe for another video. But I don't know, I just like just the basic salt, garlic, and Italian seasoning, and I always do this to taste. I would just say to just start out on the lighter side, and you can always add more, and even during the cooking process, if you want to taste it every now and then and decide, I want a little more, then go ahead and add some. But just remember that since this is cooking down, it's going to get more concentrated. So you want to start out on the light side. I'm just going to eyeball and estimate. And then you will want to, like I said, you'll want to test it a couple times throughout the cooking process, but definitely like fine tune it right before you can it. So if you do this in a pot, obviously it won't take as long because you can cook it at a higher temperature. But yeah, I'm just gonna let this go overnight. Alright, all we really can do right now is just Let it cook, and we wait. Okay, this has been cooking for about 12 to 14 hours. I got it going last night and just let it cook all night, and now I'm ready to start on it the next morning. As you can see, it's pretty nice and thick. It's pretty much perfect in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and get this started, get it in jars, and get it canned. I decided that I would actually pressure cook this because I didn't end up having enough. It cooked down quite a bit, and I didn't end up having enough to use my water bath canner. So depending on how much you have, you can totally go either way with it. So I'm filling my jars. I only ended up with 3 quarts of sauce actually, so I was really surprised at how much it cooked down. But I had more puree in the freezer, and I should have just gone ahead and cooked that too, but I really didn't think it was going to cook down that much. So you want to fill your jars and leave 1 inch of head space. That's 1 inch from the top of your sauce to the very rim of your jar. So that usually comes up pretty much like right to the bottom of the threads, as you can see there, but you can always use a tape measure just to be sure that you got it 1 inch. So there we go. Scrape, scrape, scrape. I actually had kind of a hard time filling that last jar. I just had to really scrape, and I remember there being a few little scorched bits around the edge, so I had to kind of pick them out. So forgive the grumpy look on my face. I don't really know why I look like that when I work. I look very unapproachable, but I am approachable, believe me. So if you ever see me in person, don't be shy, don't be afraid to approach me, even if I look like that. Trying to get them all even. And more scraping. Scrape, scrape, scrape. I had to do a voiceover on this because my husband was home and the TV was on. He works out in the morning and watches his YouTube things, and so I had all that going on in the background, so decided to go ahead and do it this way. And I know it looks like I'm hiding that from you, but I'm really not. I'm just scraping up what's in the bottom of the roaster. Scrape, 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 get every last little bit, finish off that jar. Or I should say top off that jar. Even had to scrape out the funnel just to make sure we get every last little bit to get that jar filled. Okay, and then after that, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a rag with either some warm water and wipe your rims, or what I do is I just take a paper towel like so, put a little bit of white vinegar, put a little bit of white vinegar on it, because white vinegar is actually a degreaser. So it's a mild degreaser, but if you happen to have a little bit of grease of any kind on the edge of your jars. Oh, and one thing I should, well, let me finish here. Then you want to wipe it off, get anything that might affect the seal. And then go ahead and put your lids and your rings on. And one thing I should have mentioned is I sterilize my jars in the dishwasher first. You can boil them. Some people like to boil them for like 5 minutes. Our dishwasher gets really hot, so I just go ahead and disinfect, or sterilize, I should say, and heat them in there. And some people will heat their lids as well, but I just use my brand new lids out of the box, and it's always worked for me. I may get in trouble for that, but like I say, it's always worked for me. So I got them in my pressure cooker. I had to use 1 jar full of water because I didn't even have enough to fill the pressure cooker. But you can just follow your manufacturer's directions for whatever pressure cooker you have. I have a digital one, and at some point I will do a video on how to use that one as well. Okay, they have pressure cooked for 25 minutes. My video is going a little fast for me here. But yes, 25 minutes. And this has cooled. I think these cooled for like an hour and a half. And now I'm ready to get them out. So it's 25 minutes of pressure canning for a quart jar, or 45 minutes of hot water bath for a quart jar. And I would do videos in the future on how to do pressure canning, as well as how to do the water bath. So you can see it looks just a little bit separated. That's because like the solids and the pulp have separated from the water a bit. But then when you open it to stir in with your meat or whatever you're putting it in, that will all go back together and it'll be just fine. So, well, there you go. There's your homegrown, homemade, home canned spaghetti sauce. Delicious to use in the winter months or anytime year round. Thanks for being with me today and for helping me with this. If you would, please like and share and subscribe to my channel. And we will see you soon. Until then, take care and God bless. Don't go just yet. No, I want to add a little note about the spaghetti sauce, and because I was just editing the video and I realized that I left out a lot of details actually. The garlic, or I should say the garlic powder and Italian seasoning and salt, I just sort of, like I said, I eyeballed it, but I should have given you guys kind of a general idea of like how much to start with. And I think I put in about 1 teaspoon of salt per quart of puree. You may want to start with less just because I like salt. Everybody says I oversalt things, or I should say everybody, my family. So you may want to start out with like half of that because it will cook down and it will get more concentrated, and you can always add a little bit more. And the garlic, I'm going to say I probably did about a half a teaspoon per quart of puree. And the Italian seasoning, it was probably between 1 and 2 teaspoons per quart of puree. I used quite a bit of that. So that's about what I used, but I feel like the spaghetti sauce is so versatile as far as or maybe I shouldn't say versatile, that might not be the word, but basically it's open to a lot of variation. Like I said, you can add things to it and that. So that's just a general rule of thumb that I do. So so I did want to make mention of that. And then I do apologize for getting kind of rushed near the end and like a little bit less detailed. I had planned to go through and hot water bath that and go through all the steps of hot water bath canning and everything. But I ended up, some things came up for me that day, and I ended up just sort of kind of just rushing through it. I didn't end up having enough to fill my canner, and I was just trying to get it done so I can get on to the other things that came up. And so it didn't go how I had planned, but that's life, right? So I will at a later date go through and show you all how to water bath can step by step and pressure can step by step with my digital pressure canner. Because I'm going to confess, I was not raised pressure canning. We always water bathed everything. My mom was afraid of pressure canners because we had heard all these horror stories about them exploding and that. And then I kind of realized that it doesn't happen nearly that often. You just hear like a story every, even once in your life, and that's what you always remember. So I inherited that fear, and I'm kind of getting over it, but right now I've only canned with a digital canner. I want to go to the I guess, what, manual canner or whatever the non-digital one would be. But I'm not there yet. But, you know, we can go through and learn how to on the digital canner. And then there's always, I've done so much water bath canning. We can go through that too. But yeah, if you need something now, I would just do a YouTube search. There's going to be other really good how-tos on there on how to do the step-by-step canning, if you don't already know how to do that. But anyway, I think that's all I wanted to add. I just wanted to say those few little things and apologize for not being more thorough there. But yeah, so anyway, we'll see you all soon, and take care. Until then, take care and God bless.